Ninjas, and welcome back to our concept series with Code Ninjas Elegant City. My name's Milan, and I'm one of the lead senseis here at Code Ninjas Elegant City. Last month, we went over 3 important vocabulary words: variable, program, and code. This month, we're going to be going over a concept: if statements. Feel free to grab a pen and piece of paper to follow along. Before we go over how to make an if statement, let's go over what an if statement is, or the simple definition. The simple definition of an if statement is a conditional statement within your code that checks to see if something is true. If you think about it, you have used if statements in your everyday outside of coding life. For example, your mom says if you finish your homework, then you can play video games. That's an example of an if statement. Okay, let's jump right in on how to make an if statement. There are 3 major parts that we're going to pay attention to. The first will be the structure, the second will be the syntax, and the third will be filling it in. So the structure and the syntax of an if statement kind of go together. What we're going to start with is the word if, followed by an open set of parentheses. After you have your open set of parentheses, you're going to need to put an open curly bracket. After you have your open curly bracket, we're going to leave some space and we're going to put a closed curly bracket. One thing about JavaScript is that it's syntax picky. So whenever you have an open curly bracket, you're going to need a closing curly bracket to follow. Okay, so now that we have the structure and the syntax, let's begin with filling it in. In the space where we have the open set of parentheses, we are going to be putting a condition there. The condition is what we are testing for to be true. For example, let's say the if statement we're trying to make is if our homework is done, we can go outside. The condition in that if statement would be if the homework is done. So the condition we plug into our if statement is homework is done. So this is what our if statement looks like so far. If homework is done, which is inside a set of parentheses, followed by an open curly bracket, then we have some space, and then a closed curly bracket. Let's fill in that some space with something. Okay, so now that we've filled in every part of our if statement, this is what it will look like completed. If homework is done, play video games. This is the correct syntax and the correct structure. You have your open curly bracket and a closed curly bracket. You have your condition inside of parentheses, and you have a semicolon at the end of your then condition. Okay, so now that we know how to make an if statement, let's dive a little bit deeper. Let's go over how to make an if, then else statement. If then else statement holds the same concept as an if statement. There's just one extra part. What if the if condition that we're testing is not true? So if we run back to our example, which is if our homework is done, then we can play video games. What happens if our homework is not done? We can't play video games, so what are we going to do? And that's where the else statement comes in handy. Okay, so let's add on to our original example, which was if our homework is done, then we can play video games. Else, finish homework. That'll be the else statement we add on. So if we're looking at our original if statement, our completed original if statement, if homework is done, then we can play video games. Let's add on our else statement, which will read, if our homework is done, then we can play video games, else finish homework. What we're going to do is right after the closed curly bracket at the bottom, we're going to add the word else. And then after the word else, we're going to add an open curly bracket. Then we're going to put the next thing that will happen if the first condition is not true. So if our homework is not done, then we're going to add a condition that says what we're going to do if that's the case. So if our homework is not done, we're going to need to finish our homework. So finish homework will go here, followed by the closed curly bracket. Then our full statement based off our example, if homework is done, then play video games, else finish homework. This is how it will read in code. If homework is done, play video games, else finish homework. Okay, ninjas, that was a short summary of what an if statement is and what an if else statement is. If you have any other questions, ask your sensei, leave a comment under this video, or pop by in the dojo. That's all for this month. See you next month.